Hi, seventh grade. Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at some student samples from the interim. Um, the interim was on the Japanese internments that happened during World War II, and your task was to create a narrative that is supported by the sources. Um, the majority of you guys did an amazing job, so good job on that. But there was also some issues, and we're going to focus on those right now. So today you're watching this video, and then you're going to practice writing a narrative based on something that I give you. Okay, based on a question that you select. So so I picked a random number of students from the assessments, and we're gonna look at what score do you guys think they got? The rubric is here, this one. So you got three scores. You got a score for this rubric, a score for this rubric, and the other one was for grammar, capitalization, and so forth. Okay, so I'm only focusing on these two right now. So you could have gotten a four, and a two for a score of a total of 10 points. Okay, um, so here we go. Let's look at the first one. So again, it could have been in first person or second person. I'm sorry, first person or third person. So let's start reading some of these. The student wrote, a day in the life of a Japanese internment camp was not being able to go outside of the camp. Once they took you into the camp, you couldn't leave the gates or the fence, and it's also the food there. There wouldn't get much, just a sausage and potato, and where they lived or sleep was really small room that was the size of a living room. When they will eat, some families had to separate from where they were eat because it was packed. Japanese people were targeted by all, but they also couldn't own land, so they lost everything. So they had to sell homes and shops and clothes. So here I haven't seen a single period. Okay, so that will impact your score. So you'll get your first score, your second score, and your third score. Okay, your first score comes from this rubric here, from this one. Second is this one. So as a result, this will most likely be for the grammar, it'll probably be a one or a zero. Most likely a zero. Actually, it's not so bad. There's not a lot of misspellings. It'll probably just be a one. Okay. The issue with this story is that there's no real story here, right? It should be a story, right? It's a narrative. It's a story. There's no story here. All this student is doing is giving the reader um, kind of like summarizing the sources, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a real story, a make pretend story that is supported by the evidence. Okay, so that's why this will be most likely a zero and a zero. Okay, so this person will get 1 out of 10. Okay, okay, next one. Again, I don't know who these students are, so okay. I was just I was just a 12-year-old kid when I was relocated somewhere else with my family. Great, great hook, right? I'm just introducing the reader who the person is. My dad told me we were going to a place that will make our lives better, but I knew they were lying. I saw other people that looked like us and dressed like us getting into the same bus. And then the student does something really awesome. He uses quotes and dialogue to show us people talking, right? These are the quotation marks that I was talking about. Dad, where are we going? I asked, desperately wanting to get the truth out of him. And then Dad responds, Fuji, we have been discriminated and embarrassed by other people. We will go to a place that will bring us no harm at all and will keep us away from those people. Obviously, the dad is not telling the truth, right? Not because he wants to be a liar, but because he probably wants to protect his son. In some way, I understood that that's saying the truth. In some ways, I understood that saying the truth. White people have been harmful to us since my dad came to this country. He came from Japan to start a new life as a farmer. So you see, this student is actually using the sources provided to support his story. Right? It's a story that he's developing or she is developing. that is supported by the evidence, right? Let's keep going here. I'm gonna skip a couple lines. I also didn't understand why the government also didn't intern people that were from other enemy countries to the US, like Germans and Italian citizens. You see how this student is actually using the source, because in the source it said that the United States was going to war against the Germans and Italians, but they were not being harassed the same way Japanese people were being harassed. So this student is able to work that note into his or her story. Okay, so this person got a four, and a two. Okay, this person really understood how to write the story. Um, the Add details to the story, use dialogue. There's a central problem here, and the problem is that they are stuck. Right, they're stuck in there. Next one. Um, Living in a concentration camp wasn't always so easy. It was a struggle for many families, including mine. So this person is writing in a first person perspective. April 1942, a few months after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. My family and I had been sent to internment camps after we have lost everything, after we were forced to sell everything. You see how this person is including how they had to sell everything. As I saw everything getting taken away from us, I saw both my parents in shock and devastation. All the hard work our family had been through gone away. As I saw white men arriving, I realized we were getting taken away to the camps, concentration camps in Yokohama, Polyup. As we arrived, I heard men shouting from the front, "Everyone, line up!" The men shouted. Great use of quotes, great use of exclamation marks. Okay? This person also got a four, and a two. Okay. Okay, then we get to this one. So, what this person did was, I don't think they understood how to write a story, but a story needs to be supported by the evidence, by the sources. You do not cite any sources in your story. It's a make pretend story that is supported by the sources. This student simply told us what the sources said, right? Source one, many people lived in America. They can live here, but they made them leave because they weren't from here, and people who were born and raised called could stay in America because they were born here. First of all, this is incorrect because they were not kicked out of America. They were put in camps in America. And then they talked about source two, but there is no story here. This is a zero, okay, for that reason. And then we get to this one. People were sent to the internment camps, and there were lots of police. Everyone was scared they could be taken back to Japan. Around 10,000 Japanese Americans were able to go to their parts of the country, other parts of the country, and some of them had to live 3 years away, 3 years with armed guards. ISIS couldn't own land because they were racist. People were sent to small towns. An entire block was filled with low shacks. This is also a zero because they're just talking about the third standard might be a one or a two, but it'll still be an N, right? Because if you get zeros here, you have to get at least some threes, okay? Because there's no story here. They're just repeating the sources. Again, with the narrative, you have to create a make pretend story that incorporates the sources into your story. Okay, so this is what we're going to be looking at. An effective lead simply means hook the reader, right? Get the reader and have them think about what you're going to write. Describe who the characters are. Where are they from? What do they look like? How many do they have family members? Right? Use details to describe the setting. Right? Um, for the Japanese internment camps, you could have talked about what did it look like? What did it smell like? What did it feel like? Right? Use quotation marks when characters speak. Some of us did a really good job here. Use quotation marks, right, when someone talks. Um, Keep narration clear. Um, Create conflict. Resolve conflict. So again, I'm going to be using these two. These two. I'm going to be using this one and this one. Okay. And there's one thing more here. Now today, for Tuesday, you'll be writing a narrative, a very short narrative. It doesn't have to be more than a paragraph, but I want you to incorporate these ideas into your pretend story. Um, So this will not necessarily be historical fiction. They'll be more historical, right? So you are picking one of these, and I'll put this in classroom. You are picking one of these and writing a short story about it. I will write my own to show you what I expect. It needs to be several sentences long, and you just show me that you really understand how to incorporate these things. I will try to show you what is it that I want in a narrative so that you are able to follow that model. Mine will probably be it'll probably be something to do with school when I was young. And if not, then I'll change it up. But this is going to be your work for Tuesday. There's a number of you that still have not finished the long documentary that needs to be done, and also the document for the documentary. That is going to be essential that you use that. We're going to be working on practice narratives on Tuesday, and then Wednesday. You'll write your narrative on Thursday and Friday. You also have a quiz on Friday to finish that unit. If you have any questions, please email me. Bye bye.